Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very first episode of the Jason Enrique Show. I am, of course, I'm your host, Jason Enrique. And if you're listening to this, thank you so much for giving me your time. Now, before we continue, I want to remind everybody to like and subscribe right now. If you're listening on any audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google Music, whatever the case may be, make sure to leave a comment, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps out the channel. And thank you so much for tuning in again. We really appreciate it. So, I wanted to do something like this for a long time. Not because I think I have all the answers, but because I think the best conversations happen when people stop pretending that they do. This show is about real life, successes, failures, career changes, mental health, sports, movies, current events, everything that you guys already know about me from First Class, Second Place, my previous podcast, which is on a bit of a hiatus right now, excuse me, interviews with interesting people, and the conversations that make us think a little differently than when we walk away. And, before I ask other people to tell their stories, I figured it was only fair to tell you mine. So, for most of you, you know that I have been podcasting now for almost 5 years, 4.5 now to be exact. Started off with First Class, Second Place. I've been ventured off to other podcasts as well. I formerly did the Yo BTV Sports a while back. Maybe about 2 years ago was the last time we recorded an episode. Most likely that show's never coming back, but it was fun doing it while it lasted. And I've also been very fortunate to do the 2 a.m. crew with my really good friend Rick H of the Rick H Show as well. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out that podcast as well. But yeah, 4.5 years, almost 5. It's been one hell of a journey. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. And there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I will get into in further episodes about what has been going on in my life and those that are surrounded around me. Now, a lot of people always ask me when they find out that I'm a podcaster, especially for people that have not met me earlier or were not aware that I started doing podcasting about 4.5 years ago. They always ask me, why did you start a podcast? Like, what makes you think, what really got you into that in the first place? And for me, it is completely different compared to how everybody else has done it. It seems like, we live in a time now where podcasts are just everywhere. They've exploded everywhere. You can see them on YouTube. You can see them, even Netflix deals and other streaming services have deals with podcasts now. And you can make the argument that the majority of them, which unfortunately don't last, basically people are doing it for the money. They're doing it for clout. They're doing it for, they're chasing fame, whatever the case may be. But for me, it's a little bit different. I basically got into podcasting because I've had a huge affinity for radio very early on in my life, for as long as I can remember. And I wanted to get into the radio business, and it did not work out. I remember speaking about this plenty of times on the previous show, First Class, Second Place. And long story short, it was all about me wanting to get my voice out there. I was always inspired by a lot of these legendary on-air personalities, and I always thought that I could really be in the same room as those people with what I have to say and the networking and everything that comes in between that. It just really called to me. There's always things that people have in their life that it comes as a calling. And I feel like whether it was music, podcasting, whatever the case may be, broadcasting, the microphone is something that was destined to come in my life sooner or later. It was all just figuring out about what I wanted to do with that. But thank God for podcasts blowing up, because now it gave me the opportunity to chase a dream in radio that I was never going to achieve. And podcasting is always going to be the better medium anyway, because it's your own creative freedom. You get to do it however you want. But going back a little bit in time, because everybody who is watching, if you are familiar with me and my work thus far, you know that I started with the First Class, Second Place podcast. Now, before I continue, I just want to tell everybody that First Class, Second Place is not over. It's far from done. but it has been on a really long hiatus right now, and the leave is on indefinitely. I don't know exactly when I'm going to be bringing it back. Who knows if I'm ever going to bring it back, to be honest with you. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why I haven't done any episodes are two main reasons. One, I was currently doing business with a studio that I won't mention the name, but a lot of you are very familiar with the studio that I was working out of for the last 3 years. And we'll see what happens with that in the future. But I'm no longer with that affiliate, but no bad blood. We'll just see where it goes. I just think that things needed to go in a different direction when it came. Um, I'm only one episode away from 200. We're at episode 199 right now. And I think 200 will be an omen of when it'll be a good idea to bring it back. But to really go back when I first started doing that podcast, I always envisioned it as a group. That's why my name was never on the show. First Class, Second Place was not supposed to be about Jason Enrique. It was supposed to be about a communal thing. It was supposed to be about community. My vision for it was initially about having me and maybe two or three more people, maybe even a fourth one, depending on how things would have went. And we would do the show on a consistent basis, kind of like how the Breakfast Club does it, or Ebro in the Morning, or any of these morning zoo radios or these group podcasts that have really successfully launched in the past couple of years. And that was the key that I had when I first wanted to do the show. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way because I just couldn't find the right people to come along with me on this journey. And I'm still also struggling with that. I did happen to have a co host at one point, and that went to shit because not only did we not work well together, but the fact of the matter is, this is what I'll say. When you get to know a person's true colors and character, and you realize you made a big fucking mistake bringing them into the fold, that's all you need to know. And I'm glad that I caught it early and letting it draw instead of letting it draw out and being something worse. And truthfully, it actually went worse behind the scenes. And that's why we're no longer working together. That's why we're no longer friends. Probably never will be friends because, like I said, it goes beyond just disagreements and issues behind the scenes. It's all about seeing a person's true colors and being grateful that you don't have to have that person in your life anymore. And honestly, behind the scenes, a lot of people would tell me that I really didn't need a co host in the beginning. And if I were to have one, I chose the wrong one to begin with. But that's not an issue that I have to deal with anymore. Good riddance and all that good stuff. And everything is hindsight 2020. And they were really bringing the show down in a lot of ways. And I was confirmed by many guests that I was not missing out on anything. This was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me was getting rid of that co-host or have that co-host no longer be in my circle. But we will put that to a close. That is a chapter that I do not look forward to opening up again anytime soon. And that's where it ends right there. But I continue going on with the show. And instead of doing the core group thing that I was hoping for in the beginning, I started doing interviews, which was not something that I originally had thought about doing it initially, but I didn't feel comfortable enough to do a show on my own. And I always felt like I needed a team in order to bounce off from. And we would grow from the ground up and then see how it goes from there. And we'll see what in the future what it holds. Like I said, First Class, Second Place is not over, but if it's ever going to come back, it needs to come back into the format that I initially planned at its inception. And I'm very hopeful that we could bring it back to that. I've also been working on another podcast as well called Feature Conversations. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a huge movie buff. I was also actually inspired by some other movie podcasts out there, specifically The Ringer by Bill Simmons. And that's a project that I'm looking forward to working on. I've actually have a couple of episodes in the can that will be coming out soon. And hopefully you people get to enjoy it, especially you big movie buffs like myself. Feature Conversations will be coming soon. But this is actually very special to bring the Jason Enrique show. I feel like I've now reached a point where I'm able to be comfortable in my own skin in order to peel back layers and show the rest of the world about what I'm about, who I am, my story, and hopefully we could take away some positives. One of the things that I never expected when I did first class second place was being so honest and open and raw about my thoughts and my emotions and the things that I had dealt with in the past and some of the things that still affect me to this day. One of the things, and this is not me tooting my own horn, but one thing that I was not expecting was to be a mental health advocate or a voice, so to speak, for mental health advocacy, especially within us men, more specifically Latino men, men are than are minorities, where there's been this constant stigma of men aren't supposed to talk about their feelings, we're stronger than that, this, that, and the third, da 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 da. And little did I know, once I got comfortable around the right people and in front of a microphone and realizing how many more people out there were just like me and how they felt some of the things that I felt as well. And being able to make that connection with so many people that I never thought felt the same way as I did was a blessing in itself. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Like I said, I never expected to be a mental health advocate, but I'm very glad that that's the trajectory that it came out on. And one of the things that I always will appreciate about first class second place is it gave me opportunities that I never thought that it would open doors for. Um, some of you know that I've gone into the acting game as well. I've been very fortunate to work with some really high profile people and some people that I think that the world needs to pay more attention to. I've done a couple of short films, and I don't take anything that I've done in the acting realm for granted. Has there been some stuff behind the scenes that I wish didn't happen? Sure. And just to be clear, it was nothing that I did. It was just I got to learn the politics of how it goes behind the scenes with people and their personalities and all the stuff that really goes into making these projects that people are passionate about. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. There's always going to be something behind the scenes, depending on the kind of crew you have around. And I'm glad I got to see that firsthand because it was a perfect pillar for me to realize that at the end of the day, don't take things so personally. And even as a 40-year-old man right now, as it's currently constituted, I'm always finding more things about myself. And I'm using those examples to make sure that I become the better version of myself each and every day. And as far as first class, second place, going back to that, when I was doing the interviews, I really found out that I had a real knack for speaking to people and finding out more about them and finding out that we have a lot more in common than we realize, even though we come from different paths, different journeys, different regions, cultures, whatever it may be. That's something that has been a blessing. Just finding out that there's more people out there that are just like me, like-minded, and more importantly, making sure that it's okay to speak up, making sure that you are not silenced, and let your voice be heard. And some of the behind the scenes drama that happened with first class second place being on a hiatus, among besides the fact that I wanted to bring it back to the format that I originally envisioned, it was a good break that was necessary. And it led the opportunity for me to start this show, the first, excuse me, the Jason Enrique show. I never thought that I would be able to do a show where it was solely focused on me, my thoughts, my opinions, my story, um, all of that. That's basically just referring to myself. And I think it took a lot of growth and a lot of time and a lot of energy and effort to finally get to this place. And I think one of the things that I didn't come out with these episodes or with this show sooner was because I really needed to make sure that I was comfortable in my own skin to come out and do this on my own. And I remember when I started first class second place, it wasn't in any fancy studio. Everything was not in the right place. I didn't have all the right equipment, but I needed to start. I needed to start somewhere. And ironically, that first episode was recorded in this very room that we're recording the very first episode of the Jason Enrique show. And I just needed to put the episode out there. And I was like, okay, now I'm officially a podcaster. Let's keep this ball rolling. And then near 200 episodes, it has been nonstop, consistent, and a roller coaster up until the last couple of months. Excuse me. But it led the opportunity to start this show, which I think I'm now prepared to show each and every one of you and peel back layers about my faults, my flaws, and my confidence and my growth, as well as my shedding of imposter syndrome, which I think is really taking a hostage of me for quite some time. I've also been a very big proponent of therapy within the last couple of years, especially with the show. And I've been going to therapy for about 2 years now, on and off. And it's been very beneficial for me. It's made me feel like I've got to know myself better. I've been able to heal myself after the death of my father, which happened very sudden and unfortunate. Finding out that I needed to take a lot of accountability and responsibility for the actions that have really been detrimental in my past. The fact of the matter is, I'm always going to be a work in progress. I don't know if I'm ever going to be the best version of myself, but I could always strive to be the better version of myself each and every day. And I'm also very fortunate that even though there have been behind the scenes drama with people that I wish I never brought into my circle, it's also made me had a deeper appreciation for people that have been in my circle, whether they're still in it or they haven't been anymore, but it's still in a good place. And am I where do I want to am I where I want to be in life? No. There's other things that I want to strive to do continually. And I want to make sure that I hold myself accountable and responsible for my actions and making sure that I keep the ball rolling as far as that's concerned. If one conversation can help someone feel less alone, inspire them to make a change, or simply make them think differently, then this show is doing exactly what I hope it would do. Now, this show is mainly going to be focused on myself, but every now and then I will bring people on from time to time because the fact of the matter is, I really enjoy getting into conversations and having deep interviews with people that haven't met but I've been very big admirers of their work, whether it's actors, musicians, politicians, or even fellow podcasters like myself. If you didn't think that if you thought I was more personal, I couldn't get more personal than I did on First Class Second Place, brace yourselves for these upcoming episodes on this show. And I plan to do it a lot more consistently. I'm still trying to figure out the format, whether I'm going to do one episode a week, 2 episodes a week, because when I first started podcasting in general, I was pumping out 2 episodes a week. I became an addict. I couldn't stop putting and recording episodes out because I enjoyed this so much. And basically to find that passion that I was looking for, because I knew that there was a passion within myself. I just didn't know exactly what that passion was. For the longest time, I thought it was music. And that didn't plan out the way that it did. But I'm glad that I found a medium where I've been able to be myself and for people to see the vulnerability for who I am through my strengths and my weaknesses, and just to remind me that I'm not alone. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. This is the very first episode of the Jason Enrique Show. This will be a little bit more structured as the episodes go on, but if it feels like I'm all over the place, it's just because I really needed to get this episode out. I needed to prove to myself that I can do this once and for all. And I don't necessarily need anybody's help or feel like I have to be dependent on other people in order for me to get to where I need to go. A lot of you guys got a chance to know me through different levels on First Class Second Place, through Yo BTV Sports, to my current sports show along with Rick H, the 2 a.m. crew. And you'll find a little bit more on Feature Conversations. But this, without a doubt, and it goes without saying, will be my most personal podcast, where you get to see the journey from the past, the present, and the future. If there's anything that I would ask anybody at the end of each episode if I have guests on. It is one what is one lesson that life has taught you the hard way? And I also believe that the real true basis of this podcast in general is just about speaking your truth. Because even when I had first class, second place up and running on a consistent basis, I still felt like I was holding back on a lot of things that I couldn't say because I was afraid of pissing off the wrong people or rubbing people the wrong way and making things even worse for myself because admittedly, my mouth and my voice and my words could be my greatest strength, but it has also proven to be some of my biggest detriment. And I'm constantly a work in progress. And I promise that I'm going to myself, that I'm going to continue being the best version of myself, the better version of myself each and every day. That is the goal. And I hope you guys will get to see that as each episode goes on of the Jason Enrique Show. Once again, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. If you're listening on an audio platform, Spotify, Apple, Google Play, Amazon Music, whatever the case may be, hit the like button. It helps out the algorithm. Let's get those up. I'm really looking forward to having great, deep conversations with each and every one of you. Hopefully you get to see more of my layers being peeled back, being more vulnerable. And also just a reminder to anybody out there that has an endeavor that they want to do, whether it's podcasting, music, acting, their own business, whatever the case may be. As a person that has suffered from imposter syndrome for many years, all I will say is, if I can do it, so can you. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed. More to come later. This is Jason Enrique Show. We out.